is there any truth to the rumors that you guys might do something at some point?
We'd love to. I'm not sure what. We went out with a drummer after Pat passed away.
Matt,
The drummer that played with us on stage while Pat was with us, because Pat couldn't do the kit anymore. We brought a guy in to play drums so
I miss
Pat could
Pat.
sing. And Matt Starr, just a great,
Yep.
great guy, great drummer. Uh, but we went out with just Matt after Pat passed away, and Matt is amazing. It has nothing to do with Matt.
No,
He's
I
great,
know.
but it just wasn't the same because Pat wasn't there, you know. So we just said at that point, that was years ago. We just said, let's just leave it. And but we're talking a little bit again recently about maybe at some point we could go out and do something. We don't know what. So we'll possibly see about it. But we're
Could
all
be
good
interesting.
friends. And we're all talking. Eric's out on tour. Paul's always working, and I'm here and there too. So I love that band, everybody in it, and that was an amazing
It is.
adventure.
You guys,
I always tell people have a number one hit someday because it changes your life completely. It's pretty great.
it's pretty awesome. I'm gonna say I had Eric on like last year, and he was telling some funny stories. I know Eric always has some crazy stories, but one of the best things he told me was very touching, and still to this day, he says, you guys hadn't spoken for a while. It was probably the impetus for like you guys getting back together at one point. Him reaching out, he was looking for a bass for his kid, and you were like a left-handed bass or something. I think you went
I
and you got the
remember
bass
that.
format and you sent it to him. And he's telling me in the story, he's like, "Yeah, I hadn't heard of him." He goes, "So get the tape in." He goes, "I get the bass for my kid. The kid's playing. I'm trying to talk to my kid about this. You got this from Billy." And his kid's like, "Shh, shh, 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 shh." And his kid's shutting him down because he's listening to you on VHS, and he's hearing your voice, and it's like it just really just kind of hit home. So that whole moment was such a great thing to hear from him in that
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
It was just such a touching moment.
Yeah,
I love that.
we had great times in that band, and our worst times were generally better than most bands' good times. So,
Yeah.
so we butted heads on a few points, but generally we it was like and there were never any drug alcohol problems in the band, which made life simpler.
Right.
And it was a great thing, man. We had some laughs. My God, we get together now to tell stories. And a lot of times when I do an interview like this, people say, "Oh, tell us a story." And I go, "I can, but it's kind of more performance art. I need a glass of red wine, a couple maybe, and sitting around a table, and then the stories start coming hot and heavy." So it's kind of good that you can't really document them in video. I'm going to try someday. You can't really videotape or write them down because you lose so much in the written
Oh, the
translation.
story. Yeah.
But yeah, and I get asked a lot about doing a book. I may someday. I may someday, but that would be cool. But I'm always worried about how am I going to relate this story in print, where I got to kind of stand up and yeah, the guy came over. And it's kind of a
Oh,
performance art. It's funny.
it is. It could be a long story. I mean, yeah. Eric told me one. He said he actually felt bad. He said he was going through a period where he was going up in the air and he was spitting water up in the air and it was hitting like the drums and the cymbals and the guy did the drums was getting kind of mad at him for messing it up and stuff. And he was doing it one day and he spit the water for something and you came out and you slipped on it and
Oh
you
yeah,
fell and there was a big
yeah,
hush over everybody.
yeah. That was great because it's the only time I ever fell on stage. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was
wow, finally, after 30, whatever, it was 30 years then, 50 years now. After 30 years,
he
I
wasn't
finally.
recounting it as a funny story. He was just like, yeah, he was telling me his whole thing about the spitting thing. And he goes, and then this happened. And I didn't know. I felt, then, you know, he shared that one. And he told this story about, Paul, where the opening band was, you guys would come out dressed like the sleepy time guy with the candle and the long sleep dress or whatever. And the opening band grabbed his little sleep dress thing and tied it up over his head on the stage to Paul. And he couldn't untie it. So it was like his underwear on stage and stuff. Those
Oh,
are the two
I don't.
stories he
I
shared.
remember
Yeah.
something vaguely like that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
you guys are